Websites your competitors don't want you to know, part two. All you do is go to this website, and it lets you find out exactly how much your competitors are making.
$42 million in distributions. $0.2 million exit, $106 million in a weekend. Most people hear those numbers and think, oh, that's probably when he felt the richest. That's actually not the truth. The moment that I felt the wealthiest in my entire life was when I had $100,000 in my bank account. That was the first big unlock for me as a person. And the reason is before that, I was sleeping on a gym floor and doing math on whether I could afford groceries. Right? And once I had $100,000, that was when I stopped having to worry about tomorrow, right? About paying rent, about paying dues, about paying my cell phone bill or paying my car insurance. You can't think about your long-term vision if you're trying to pay rent, right?
With all of these bills, it stacks up. And when it stacks up, it is hard for us to realize how much paying rent is, how much paying dues are, how much paying the cell phone bill, or whatever it is.
Cell phone bill or paying my car insurance. You can't think about your long-term vision if you're trying to pay rent.
You can't think about your long-term vision if you're just trying to pay rent. And whatever this long-term vision is, for me, that's going mainstream on YouTube and building my brand, building myself, building my understanding, building my belief, building my thoughts. You can't do that just trying to pay rent. You can't focus on your dreams, you can't focus on your goals, you can't focus on whatever, because you're so obligated to just try to pay rent.
Right? That's just real. And so in this video, I want to give you a 6-step roadmap as clear as humanly possible to making and banking your first $100,000. If you're a big baller business owner, then you can skip this one. But if you don't have that yet, then this is just a pure give on my part of trying to help you get there. The first step is that we have to cut all costs so that we can take more risk. When I say all costs,
cut all costs so you can take more risk. More risk is more fear, more agony, more pain, more regret. And when this more pain happens, that is when we break free. That is when we do. That is when we say. That is when we act upon whatever it is we are doing. Because if we do not go through pain and fear and agony and wealth, forget wealth. Pain, agony, fear, and time. If you want to waste time, I'm not going to waste my own. So I'll see you on the other side, you doing your own thing while me doing my own thing.
I mean all costs. That means you don't eat out anymore for anything. And if you're hungry, you deal with it. And if it's not from a discount grocery store, you don't buy it. Clothing, like what you have right now on your back is everything you need for the next 2 years.
Because that clothing is what you are. Without the clothing that you are, that's why buying cheap is probably one of the best things he's ever said. And I've ever said, because without buying cheap clothing, then you don't know what your life will lead you to.
Period. No exceptions. Just keep reusing it. Trade or go to Goodwill. You go to work, you go home, and home is ideally with your family, or worst case, with another family also trying to make it and save. And it's got to be as cheap as you possibly can. And I say this as somebody who lived through this. When I was beginning my journey, I was splitting a bedroom in a 6-bedroom house with one guy, just in that bedroom, as in like every night we'd stare at each other. And I'd be like, good night, John. And he'd be like, good night, Alex. And I'd blow out my candle.
I blow out my candle. Are you joking?
That was true, minus the candle. And
yeah, I was about to say, yeah, it sounds pretty true. Sounds very factual, Hermosi, right there. Got me chuckling.
Pro tip, if you sleep with a fan on your face, you can't hear anything. So, if you have to deal with it. That's one way to do it. But I had roommates that I was paying like $300 or $400 a month for a very long time while I was beginning my business and started to actually make real money, and I still stayed there. Now, the next thing is gonna be your car. So if we're thinking about expenses, ideally a paid off clunker is the best way to go. If you can't, you want it to be as cheap as humanly possible, but ideally just pay off your car so you don't have to think about it again. All right, so that covers your food, your car, your shelter. And the reason that this is so important for us to basically stack up this cash flow, because you're working and making money, but right now you're probably spending all of it. So it's like we need to decrease it from the down. Side, so we have this cash flow, this fluff that we can start spending and reinvesting in getting more skills, which I'll talk about in a second.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get done in a list view. Next, I set a priority and a due date to keep things on track. I create custom statuses to organize my progress exactly how I want it.
Okay. All right, real quick, if you're on this path to these books, and so all use, it's literally every 100,000, and we have to cut all of our time costs. Step 2 is save time. And so if you work a 9-to-5 job, this is kind of just the reality of it. Your 9-to-5 job is not killing your dreams. All right, so just stop subscribing to that. You're wasting the 2 4-hour chunks of the day.
Which means if you have a day job, you must not waste your 5 to 9. Because if you waste your 5 to 9, you'll be wasting so much money that is waiting to be spent on other things. I would rather make content than do nothing, than playing video games and sitting on my ass. And I even make gaming content. And I'd rather be making this kind of content versus making gaming content. So do not waste your 9 to 5 or your 5 to 9. Do not waste your 5 to 9, because if you waste your 5 to 9, then
that you do have available to you, which is your 5 to 9 in the morning and your 5 to 9 at night. So what you want to be doing is, instead of just like mindlessly doom scrolling through life, right? Instead, you're like, I have 4 hours before I have to go to work. Right now, if you work remotely, even better, because you can be more efficient with it. If you're not remote, then it might be 3.5 hours, or you just wake up earlier. And I also say this as someone who did this, right? The reason that this whole like, I wake up early in the morning became a thing for me was because that was the only time I could get ahead. And so I very much believe in Kobe Bryant's perspective on this. It's like, if everyone else is going to practice, he's like, well, if I do 2 extra practices a day, I'm going to move forward 3 times faster. And going to practice, he's like, well, if I do 2 extra practices a day, I'm going to move forward 3 times fast.
Everyone else is going to practice. If I do 2 practices a day, I'm going to move faster. I'm going to move forward 3 times as faster, which is very true. Within whatever it is you're going from your 5 to 9 to 5 to 9, whatever it is, because you have 2 5 to 9s, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. to 5 p.m. You get the gist. I just flip-flopped it, so let's continue.
And so 1 is we got our money back. 2, we got our time back. Now that we have our time back, we need to minimize the distractions in that time period, because focus is achieved not through addition.
Focus is achieved not through addition, but subtraction. Very well spoken. Because when you add stuff to your checklist or to yourself, you can subtract other things to whatever it is you are going through.
But subtraction. When you remove everything else that doesn't matter, focus is what's left. Now, if you happen to be...
Focus is what is left. Without focusing on rejection, on fear, on understanding, on belief, on thoughts, you cannot focus on the one main priority, which is fear, agony, and pain. Those 3 main core pillars are the ones that make you push forward, that make you persevere, that make you do the hard work and do the lifting.
Just if you're on your path right now, so like let's say that you're not at job, so you started a business, but it's not making as much as you want and you don't have the 100K in savings. Let me just give you the simplest formula that I had. This is kind of like the 2.0 version, which is a 4-4-4 split. So if you're at 9 to 5, then you got 5 to 9 and 5 to 9. If you don't have a 9 to 5 during the day that you got to go to, then I like to do 4 hours of promotion. First thing I do when I get up is let people know about my stuff. Because if nobody knows about your stuff, they can't give you money.
That's very true, because if nobody knows about your stuff, they can't give you any money. Which is why letting people know about your stuff is one of the best cold out pounds and warm out pounds that you can do, and he has also stated it.
The second 4-hour chunk is delivery. So you give the people that gave you money what you promised them.
Give them what you promised. Give them what you want. Give them what you say that you are going to do.
The third 4-hour chunk is building. So this is building the future, figuring out what to do next and how to
Figuring out what to do next and how to do it. Because if you don't build it, then you may never know where this life will lead.
do it. This is a combination of two things. It's going to be the curation of opportunities. Like, what are all the things that are out there? I have to see them, find them. And then the second is the prioritization of those. Okay, there's 10 things I could do.
The prioritization and seeing of the opportunities. When you take an opportunity for granted, do not waste the moment on it. Do not waste the time that you are waiting for.
This one thing is going to give me the highest return.
This one thing is going to give you the highest return, which is retention times time. What is going to give you the highest return? The churn that is going to be churning the funnel of whatever it is you are doing.
This is what I'm going to prioritize my time.
And this is what I'll prioritize my time and my money towards, because without prioritizing time and money, that is when you push forward pressure. I'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, stay unique and stay you. Peace.